You know that feeling when you're just trying to do something totally normal, and you get hit with a wave of pure, unadulterated snobbery? Like, really hit? Yeah, that's what happened to my friend Ilara. You'd love Ilara. She's the kindest, most down-to-earth person, doesn't make a fuss. So she had this appointment, right? At this seriously fancy bridal salon in London, one of those places where the air smells expensive and you feel like you need permission to breathe. It was called the Velvet Hanger. Super exclusive, apparently. Ilara was getting married, which was huge news because she's usually pretty private. Anyway, she walks in for her fitting. And you know Ilara. She was just wearing like simple beige linen trousers and a plain comfy top. Her hair was just up in a bun. No makeup really, just her beautiful face. She was carrying this old canvas tote bag. Just her, the staff there, 4 women all done up perfectly in black dresses, stopped talking the moment she walked in. It was like record scratch. The main one, Beatrice, looked her up and down. And I mean, really scanned her, head to toe, like she was trying to calculate how little Ilara's outfit cost. Her smile didn't reach her eyes at all. "Can we help you?" she asked, and the way she said it, it just screamed, "You are lost." Ilara, totally calm, pulled out her phone. "Hi, yes, I'm here for my wedding dress fitting. Ilara Vance, 11T. She showed them the email, the official one from their salon. Beatrice barely glanced at the screen, then looked back at Ilara's trousers. A little smirk played on her lips, the kind that makes your stomach clench. "Oh, I'm so sorry, dear, there must be a mistake. Our gowns, they start at, well, $60,000. This is a private atelier." Her voice was so sweet it was sickly, but the message was crystal clear. "You can't afford to be here." The other 3 staff members, Chloe, Hannah and Gemma, exchanged glances, their lips twitching with suppressed laughter. Chloe, the youngest, even leaned forward and whispered, loud enough for Ilara to hear. Did she steal someone's appointment email? People try that, you know. Desperate clout chasers. And honestly, the sting of that must have been awful, but Ilara didn't flinch. Her voice was steady, quiet like a calm lake. "No mistake," she said. "I ordered my dress 6 months ago. Custom design, ivory silk, diamond embroidery." She described it perfectly, no hesitation, like she knew exactly what she was talking about. But Beatrice just crossed her arms, tapping her perfect nails. "Sweetheart," she said, like Ilara was a confused child. "We don't do walk-ins, and we certainly don't do..." She gestured vaguely at Ilara's trousers with a look of utter distaste. "This." Gemma, who was scrolling on a tablet, snorted. "Ilara Vance? Never heard of her. Probably a fake name." Hannah just looked down, avoiding eye contact, and then Gemma pulled out her phone. Can you believe the nerve? She started filming. "This is too good," she muttered, already live streaming with some awful caption like "Mystery woman in discount clothes. Crashes designer bridal fitting." The comments started flooding in immediately. "LOL, get her out. Who does she think she is?" Ilara just stood there, her canvas tote hanging from her shoulder. She didn't argue, didn't get loud. "I'd like to speak to the manager, please," she said, still calm but firm. Beatrice actually laughed, like a loud, sharp, cutting sound. "Darling, I am the manager, and you are absolutely not on our client list. Let's not make a scene." She nodded to Chloe, who stepped closer, her smile thin and cold. "Time to go," she said. They didn't physically touch Ilara yet, but they moved in, flanking her, sort of herding her towards the door like she was a stray animal they were shooing out. Just as Ilara reached those heavy velvet curtains near the exit, this incredibly wealthy client, Penelope Sterling, the kind whose family name is practically stamped on half the buildings in the city, swans over in a mink coat. Her diamond earrings were flashing like crazy. "Who let this riffraff in?" she barked. Her voice just dripped with privilege. Penelope clicked closer on her heels, every click a tiny hammer blow, and actually flicked Ilara's simple top with a perfectly manicured finger. "This is an insult to couture," she spat, loud enough that her voice echoed off the mirrors. The staff just egged her on. Chloe actually clapped. Penelope's friends, all dripping in designer stuff, started snapping photos, giggling, and the sound was just awful, like glass breaking inside you. Ilara's fingers tightened on her tote bag, I could tell, but her face stayed smooth, like she was wearing a mask. She told me later she just focused on breathing, on not letting them see how much it hurt. Gemma's livestream viewers were eating it up, thousands watching. "Trash doesn't belong here. Make her cry." It felt like the whole world was watching and wanting her to break, totally blind to who she really was. But Ilara just moved with them, her steps steady. "You're making a mistake," she said softly, almost to herself. Gemma's phone caught it, and her viewers, now hitting something like 5,000, went wild. "She's delusional. Thinks she's famous." As Ilara reached the door, Beatrice called out, "Try a department store next time, dear." The glass door closed behind her, and the street just swallowed her up. Within hours, Gemma's live stream blew up. It went viral. You saw headlines everywhere. "Mystery woman in beige pants crashes elite bridal salon," some fashion magazine called her the delusional dreamer. The tabloids were just cruel. "Fashion faux pas or fame seeker. Meet the nobody who thought she belonged." Twitter exploded with memes, putting Ilara's beige trousers on red carpets, captioned things like, "When you RSVP but forget the dress code." Nobody knew her name, Ilara Vance, but everyone knew her outfit, and they all thought they knew her shame. But oh, how wrong they were. Just 2 days later, this fleet of private jets landed in the English countryside, at this absolutely breathtaking 17th century estate, the Ashworth Estate. Gardens everywhere, full of lavender and roses, spires reaching up into a sky so blue it almost hurt your eyes. This was the wedding of the year. Marcus Thorne. You know the Marcus Thorne? Head of Thorne Enterprises, that massive $50 billion media empire that owns half the magazines, streaming services, everything. He's only 32, incredibly sharp, handsome, you know the type. Turns everything he touches into gold. And the bride? Nobody knew. Marcus is super private and had somehow managed to keep it completely secret, citing security concerns. Rumours were flying. Royalty, a tech genius, a supermodel hiding from the press, the guest list, a who's who of fashion and power. Editors, designers, top influencers, all sworn to secrecy. And get this, invitations went out to the Velvet Hanger staff. Beatrice, Chloe, Hannah, Gemma, and a bunch of the influencers who'd piled on Ilara online. They all thought they were invited because of their own importance, their clout. Can you imagine? Gemma, who now had like 20,000 new followers thanks to her bullying video, was strutting around the estate gates in this bright red gown, phone already out. "This is my moment," she whispered to Chloe, who was in emerald silk, looking smug. Beatrice, in sapphire velvet, was scanning the crowd, practically shouting famous names. Hannah was quieter in black lace, sticking close, looking a bit uneasy, like she sensed something was off. The courtyard was stunning. Marble fountains, white lilies, a string quartet playing Vivaldi, guests mingling, diamonds flashing, that sharp, privileged laughter everywhere, and then a ripple went through the crowd. Heads turned. Ilara Vance walked through the gates. She, was wearing a simple beige linen dress, sleeveless, just skimming her knees. Her hair was down, soft waves around her face. Her shoes were just simple flats, a little scuffed. No jewellery, no bag, just her hands clasped lightly in front of her. She looked like she'd just popped over from a farmer's market, not walked into a billionaire's wedding. Gemma saw her first. Her gasp was so loud I bet the quartet heard it. "No way!" she hissed, lifting her phone instantly. "It's the beige pants girl." Beatrice's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a sneer. "She's got some nerve." Chloe actually laughed again, loud, enough to draw stares. "Is she crashing again? In that?" Hannah hesitated for a second, her fingers tightening on her clutch, but she didn't say anything. The influencers, led by Isla Munro, this massive fashion vlogger with 1 million followers, swarmed Ilara, phones. Out! Their voices a chorus of pure nastiness. "Did she get lost on her way to a charity shop?" Isla quipped, her lavender gown swishing as she circled Ilara like a shark. "This is just embarrassing," added Finian Cole, another influencer, his gold cufflinks glinting as he snapped a photo. Ilara didn't flinch, not outwardly. She just stood in the courtyard, her hazel eyes scanning the crowd, her back straight. A waiter offered her champagne. She just gave a small, faint, warm smile and shook her head. The guests started closing in, their whispers getting sharper, crueler. "She's nobody," muttered some editor. "Probably bribed the security guard," a stylist sneered. Gemma started live streaming again, caption bold, "Beige girl crashes billionaire wedding round 2. The views shot up, 40,000, 50,000 comments flooding in. "Kick her out." "What a loser." Beatrice stepped forward, her voice cutting through the music like ice. "You do not belong here," she said, loud enough that the quartet actually faltered for a second. As Ilara faced Beatrice's accusations, a group of fashion interns near the fountain started getting rowdy. One particularly sharp-looking girl, Tessa, stepped forward, her voice loud with ambition, wanting to impress everyone. "She's probably here to steal something," she shouted, pointing at Ilara's simple clothes like they were proof of a crime. "Gotcha," interns hooted. Tessa grinned, and one of them actually threw a macaron at Ilara. A pale pink one. It hit her simple linen dress, leaving a sticky stain. "Take that back to wherever you came from," another yelled, their laughter a vicious wave washing over her. Gemma's livestream zoomed in, capturing the pink smear on Ilara's dress. The interns' taunts instantly became a trending hashtag. Beige girl beat down. Ilara just calmly brushed the crumbs away. Every jeer, every laugh, every cruel comment was landing like a stone, piling up inside her. The crowd fed off the energy, their phones held high, documenting what they thought was her public shaming, completely blind to the power standing right in front of them. "This is a private event. Leave, or I'll call security," Beatrice said, her voice hard. "Don't humiliate yourself again," Chloe chimed in, a nasty edge to her tone. Isla Munro's laugh was like a whip crack. "She's already doing that, honey." The crowd pressed closer, a wall of phone lenses capturing Ilara's silence, her stillness. She looked at Beatrice, her gaze steady, almost gentle, which must have been unnerving. "I am invited," she said, her voice low but perfectly clear. "Check the list," Beatrice scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "You are not on any list." She signalled to a security guard, a big guy named Bruce with a buzz cut. He approached Ilara, his hand hovering near her arm. "Mum, please come with me," he said, his tone neutral. Ilara didn't move. Her eyes were locked on Bruce's. "Ask for Marcus," she said. "Marcus Thorne. He'll clear this up." Saying his name there, in that context it dropped like a stone in the silent courtyard. For a split second, Beatrice paused. Then she let out this harsh, bright laugh. "Marcus Thorne! You're dreaming, darling." Bruce gently but firmly took Ilara's elbow and started leading her towards the gates. The crowd followed, a pack scenting blood. Gemma's live stream hit 80,000 viewers, her voice practically vibrating with excitement. "Here we go again. Beige girl gets the boot," Isla tossed, her hair calling out, "Maybe try a courthouse wedding next time." Finian shouted, "Send her to the cheap seats." Their laughter echoed off the grand stone walls of the estate. As Bruce continued leading Ilara towards the exit, a famous avant-garde designer, Julian Rex, who was known for being incredibly sharp-tongued, pushed through the mob, his silk scarf fluttering like a flag of contempt. "This is precisely why we gatekeep," he declared, his voice booming, making sure the influencers caught it. He leaned in close to Ilara, his cologne sharp, and sneered, "You are a walking mockery of taste." The crowd roared, emboldened. Julian actually tossed his cocktail napkin at her feet. Ilara stepped over it, her back straight. But Julian's words, they just hung in the air, cold and heavy. Every syllable felt like a little cut, a wound no one else could see bleeding. The eye. World laughed louder, blind to the quiet strength in her posture. She kept walking, her simple dress catching the breeze, her face unreadable. Halfway to the gates, a tech heiress, Anjali Sharma, draped in a gown of shimmering gold, shoved through the crowd, her bracelets jangling. "She's scamming us all," Anjali shrieked, her voice so high it silenced the quartet. She pointed at Ilara, her nails like daggers, and spat. "You think you're clever sneaking in? You're nothing." The crowd surged, phones flashing. And then Anjali grabbed a glass of rosé from a passing tray and flung it at Ilara. The pink liquid splashed all over her beige dress, dripping down her legs. Gemma's livestream absolutely exploded. 100,000 viewers now, comments screaming, "Drown the fraud!" Ilara just paused. She calmly wiped a drop of wine from her cheek. Her eyes were steady, fixed on Anjali, but they burned with something unspoken, something deep. Anjali laughed, triumphant, as the mob howled, their cruelty like a wildfire burning, out of control. Nobody dared to step in. Ilara didn't beg. She didn't argue. She moved with this quiet dignity, like someone who knew, deep down, that this storm would pass. As they reached the very edge of the courtyard, Hannah, the quiet staff member, broke away from the group. Her face was pale. She caught Ilara's eye for a split second. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm sorry," she mouthed, before turning back, swallowed by the crowd. Ilara gave her the slightest nod, a flicker of warmth in her gaze, but said nothing. Bruce's grip on her arm tightened as they neared the final gate, the crowd's jeers reaching a peak. "Wedding crasher!" someone yelled. "Go home!" another taunted. Gemma zoomed in on her phone, capturing Ilara's wine-stained dress, her dusty flats, but also, if you looked closely, the absolute unwavering dignity in her posture. The internet roared. Crash Beigegate was trending worldwide, memes multiplying by the second. Ilara, in her simple linen dress, captioned, "When you crash a billionaire's wedding but forget the glow-up." And then she was gone. Bruce escorted her. Through a side door, out of sight. The crowd erupted in cheers, clinking glasses, their victory sweet. "She fled," Isla crowed, posting a video clip of Ilara's exit. "Total embarrassment," Finian added, his post getting thousands of likes. Beatrice raised her champagne flute, a triumphant smile on her face. "Well," she declared, "that's how you handle that." And the quartet resumed playing, the awkward moment. Swept away like dust. Inside the estate, the grand hall was waiting. Ceilings painted with cherubs, marble floors gleaming, tables set with orchids and crystal. Guests drifted in, silk rustling, buzzing about the beige girl scandal. Gemma kept refreshing her livestream stats. 150,000 views now. Her DMs were blowing up with brands wanting sponsorships. Beatrice cornered a famous editor, dropping heavy hints about her instinct for spotting fakes. Chloe and Isla posed for selfies, looking smug, their captions bragging about keeping. It classy at the wedding of the year. Only Hannah stayed quiet, her eyes fixed on the main doors, twisting her necklace. The hall lights dimmed, candles flickered to life. A hush fell over the room. The ceremony was about to start. Marcus Thorne appeared at the altar. Dark suit, perfect fit, his presence just electric. He stood there alone, his eyes scanning the room, a faint, knowing smile playing on his lips. The guests leaned forward, breathless. Where was the bride? Whispers spread like wildfire. Had she backed out? Was there a scandal? Gemma started typing furiously on her phone, ready to break the news. And then the massive double doors swung. Open. Every single head in the hall turned. Ilara Vance walked in. She was wearing the gown, the one they had denied her fitting for. Ivory silk cascaded around her like a waterfall, the bodice encrusted with diamonds that caught the candlelight and burned with a million points of light. The skirt flowed behind her, a delicate train whispering across the marble floor. Her hair was swept up, a single diamond clip gleaming like a crown in the candlelight. She was absolutely breathtaking. Not just because of the dress, though it was incredible, but because of the power in her step, the fire in her eyes, and on her arm was Marcus Thorne. His hand steady on her arm, his gaze locked on her like she was the only person, the only truth in the entire universe. The hall was utterly silent. A collective gasp seemed to freeze in the air. Beatrice's champagne flute slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor with a loud crash. Gemma's phone trembled in her grasp, her live stream still running, now showing over 300,000 viewers watching this impossible scene. Isla Munro's jaw dropped, her lavender gown suddenly looking cheap and garish. Finian Cole looked like his own gold cufflinks were choking him. Hannah's eyes widened, and a single tear slipped down her cheek. The guests, the editors, the designers, the moguls just stared, their certainty, their judgment, their scorn, all crumbling to dust around them. Ilara didn't look at them, not directly. She walked forward, her arm in Marcus's, her chin held high, her grace a silent, sharp blade cutting through all their mocking laughter and cruel words from earlier. Marcus stopped at the altar, turning to face the stunned crowd. His voice was low, but it carried like thunder through the silent hall. "This is Ilara Vance," he said, his voice full of pride. "My wife!" The word landed like a bomb, shattering the silence, shattering their assumptions. "We've been engaged for 2 years," Marcus continued, his gaze sweeping over the dumbfounded faces, "planning this day in secret, not for fame but for us." He looked down at Ilara, his expression softening. "Ilara asked me to keep her name out of the press, and I did. Not because she's weak." His eyes hardened slightly as he looked back at the crowd. "But because she is stronger than anyone here could possibly imagine." He paused, letting the truth sink in. Ilara stood beside him, her gown a beacon, her quiet presence more powerful than any shouting. Marcus's voice grew firm. "She's also the founder and CEO of Aura." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Aura, the minimalist, revolutionary fashion brand that had exploded onto the scene from nowhere, dominating runways and red carpets. Its creator was a mystery, her identity one of the most guarded secrets in the industry. Until now. "Ilara built Aura from nothing," Marcus continued, his pride a tangible thing in the air. "No investors, no connections, just her designs, her vision, and a laptop in a small studio. Today, Aura is valued at $15 billion, and she's about to take it public for $2 billion. She owns this industry, whether you like it or not." The crowd was a sea of stunned, pale faces. Beatrice's knees buckled, and she gripped the back of a chair, her sapphire dress pooling around her. Gemma's live stream viewership surged to 600,000. Comments were screaming, "She's Aura's CEO! OMG, we had no idea!" Isla Monroe's phone slipped from her nerveless fingers, cracking on the marble floor. Finian muttered, "Impossible," but his voice was hollow. Hannah's tearful smile grew wider. She had felt it, hadn't she? That Ilara was more. Marcus's voice sharpened, like a blade being drawn. "And the velvet hanger Ilara has been negotiating to acquire it for months. As of yesterday morning, she is the controlling owner." Beatrice gasped, a strangled sound. Chloe looked like her emerald gown was suffocating her. Gemma's stream captured it all, her 700,000 viewers watching the live collapse of their idols. The internet was ablaze. Marcus's gaze swept across the room, settling on the faces of those who had scorned Ilara. "You mocked her," he said, his voice steely. "You humiliated her. You live-streamed her pain for the world to consume. You judged her based on her clothes, not her character. And you were wrong." He nodded to a woman in a sharp grey suit, Maria Diaz, Ilara's chief of staff. "Maria," Marcus said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "Name them." Maria stepped forward, her tablet glowing, her voice clear and cold as ice. "Beatrice Morrow, Chloe Tran, Gemma Bell, for orchestrating and live-streaming Ms. Vance's humiliation at the Velvet Hangar." She looked up, her gaze unwavering. "Isla Monroe, Finian Cole, for amplifying the slander and engaging in public harassment here today." Her voice didn't falter. "Anjali Sharma, for physical assault and slander." She paused, letting the weight of the names hang in the air. "Your invitations are revoked. Your actions have consequences." Guards moved swiftly and silently. Beatrice screamed, "This is a mistake. I built the Velvet Hangar," as Bruce gently but firmly took her arm and began leading her away. Her sapphire dress caught on a table, tearing with a loud rip. As Beatrice was escorted towards the gates, her sapphire dress a crumpled ruin, the crowd's silence was deafening, broken only by her desperate, fading pleas. Outside, paparazzi swarmed, their cameras flashing relentlessly, capturing her tear-streaked face, the torn hem of her dress dragging in the dust. A headline flashed on a reporter's phone: "Velvet hanger manager fired by mystery bride." Social media turned on her instantly. Beatrice's own followers unfollowed her in droves, her name becoming a punchline. Guests whispered, "She mocked the wrong woman." Maria's tablet pinged with news. The velvet hanger's stock plummeted, investors fleeing as Aura's merger loomed. Beatrice stumbled, her small empire collapsing with every step away, while Ilara's star rose, untouchable. Chloe followed, sobbing, her emerald silk dress trailing like a banner of defeat. Gemma tried desperately to stop her live stream, but a guard confiscated her phone. Her 800,000 viewers watched her final, terrified moments as she was escorted away. Isla Munro's protests, "I'm Isla Munro," faded as she was led past the white lilies, her lavender gown a fading spark. Finian stammered, "I didn't know." But the guards were deaf to his excuses, marching him towards the gates. Angeli's exit was a spectacle of shattered pride. As guards escorted her, her gold gown caught on a rosebush, ripping audibly, her bracelets clattering to the ground. "You can't do this," she wailed, but the paparazzi were merciless, their flashes blinding as they shouted, "Smile, Angeli!" News of her disgrace spread faster than Gemma's stream. Her tech company's shares tanked. Guests murmured, "She threw wine at Ilara. Serves her right." Online, Shom Angeli Falls trended, her brand deals cancelled, her followers abandoning her for Ilara's quiet grace. The estate gates slammed shut behind her, locking out her arrogance forever. While Ilara's quiet vow of respect echoed in the hall, a beacon for a new era, the press waiting outside went wild. Flashes lit up the night. Headlines formed on their screens. Fashion elite ejected from Thorn wedding. Ilara Vance, Aura's secret queen, takes rightful place. Social media erupted. Ilara Vance trended globally. Memes now celebrated her wedding gown, her grace, her power. The world was rewriting her story in real time. Ilara stepped forward, her voice soft but completely unshakable. "This isn't about revenge," she said, the hall hanging on her every word. "It's about respect." She looked out at the remaining guests, her gaze kind but firm. "I built Aura to create beauty, to celebrate individuality, not division. But I've seen firsthand how this industry can chew up anyone who doesn't fit its narrow, outdated mould. That changes now." She paused, her hazel eyes sweeping the room, resting briefly on Hannah, who stood alone, tears streaming down her face. "The velvet hanger will merge with Aura. There will be no more gatekeeping, no more cruelty. We will design for every woman, not just the ones you deem worthy." The crowd was silent, some nodding slowly, others still too stunned to move. Ilara's gaze softened slightly, but her resolve was like iron. "And to those who judged me, I hope you learn from this." Her voice was gentle, but the words carried immense weight. "Kindness costs nothing, but cruelty has a price." She turned back to Marcus, her hand finding his, their connection a quiet, powerful fire. The officiant, a silver-haired man named Reverend Davies, stepped forward. The ceremony began. Vows exchanged under the high, painted ceiling. Ilara promised to stand by Marcus, her voice clear and steady as dawn. Marcus vowed to be her shield, his eyes never leaving hers, full of love and admiration. The kiss was gentle, a seal between equals. The reception unfolded in the gardens, lanterns glowing softly, music weaving through the night air. Ilara and Marcus danced, her diamond gown shimmering like moonlight, his hand steady on her back. Later, Maria approached them, her tablet dark. "It's done," she said quietly. "The velvet hanger staff terminations are effective immediately. The merger has been announced. The world is calling you a revolutionary, Ilara." Ilara smiled, leaning into Marcus's embrace. "Good," she said softly. "Let's keep it that way." As the night deepened, Ilara found Hannah standing alone by the fountain, her black lace dress damp with tears. "You apologized," Ilara said, her voice warm and gentle. That mattered. Hannah nodded, choking out, I didn't know who you were." Ilara reached out and gently touched her arm. "You don't need to know someone's name or their bank balance to be kind," she said simply. She paused, then added, "Or a bridal is going. To need a new face for its launch campaign. Someone genuine, someone who saw a little beyond the surface." She looked into Hannah's surprised eyes. "I'd like it to be you." Hannah's eyes widened, her breath catching in her throat. "Me?" Ilara nodded, a small, knowing smile on her face. "You saw me, Hannah, when almost no one else did." The party swirled. On! But Ilara and Marcus slipped away for a moment, standing alone by the edge of the estate, the countryside stretching dark and endless before them. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, his voice low and full of love. "You changed the game tonight, my love," she smiled, her hazel eyes catching the distant stars. "We did," she corrected him, squeezing his hand. "Together." They weren't just husband and wife, they were a force, rewriting an industry, one step at a time. Ilara Vance didn't need to shout her worth to the world. She had walked through fire, in her simple beige dress, and emerged radiant and powerful as the light itself. Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to follow the channel for more deep and meaningful stories.